If you woke up this morning knowing that God was waiting for you in the silence, what would you do first? There are mornings when we wake up with a heavy heart, carrying worries, fears, or unfinished plans from yesterday. But have you ever wondered what would happen if, at the very moment you opened your eyes, you chose to start your day not with your phone, not with anxious thoughts, but with a simple prayer to God? Starting your day the right way isn't about doing more. It's about centering your heart where it truly belongs. When you give God the first moments of your morning, you open the door for His grace to flow through the rest of your day. A small act of gratitude, a quiet breath of peace, a gaze lifted toward heaven. Each can become a sacred beginning to a day filled with divine purpose. Imagine this. You wake up, take a deep breath, and instead of sighing, you whisper with a smile, "Lord, thank you for this new day. Please lead me in your light." Instantly, the air feels warmer, your mind feels clearer, and an invisible strength begins to rise within you. That is the miracle of grace. Gentle but powerful presence that transforms the way you think, act, and feel. God never asks for perfection when you begin your day. He simply asks for your presence, your honest, open heart, even when it's tired or unsure. When you come to Him in the quiet of the morning, He doesn't see your flaws or your failures. He sees your desire to draw near, and it's in that very desire that grace begins its work. Morning is God's favorite time to touch the soul. When the world is still, when the sun hasn't yet climbed high, that's when He whispers into your heart, "I am here." You may not hear it with your ears, but you'll feel it deep within, a peace that doesn't come from the outside world, but from the meeting place between you and your Creator. So don't let your mornings slip away in the noise of notifications and busyness. Let them begin in sacred stillness. A cup of coffee may warm your body, but only the Word of God can warm your soul. Each time you open the Bible, read a verse, or close your eyes in prayer, you are inviting His grace to guide every word, every choice, and every step you take throughout the day. And soon, you'll notice something beautiful. The burdens you carry don't feel as heavy. It's not because your problems disappear, but because you've placed God at the center of your day. He becomes your compass, your anchor, your quiet strength when the world feels overwhelming. Remember, every morning is a gift. When you open your eyes, it means God is giving you another chance to love deeper, to forgive quicker, to live more beautifully than yesterday. So begin your day the right way, in the presence of God, with a thankful heart, and with the quiet confidence that His grace is enough for all things. Because once you learn to start your day with God, you don't just begin your morning right, you begin your life right. True peace does not come from the world around you, but from allowing God to dwell within your heart. When you begin your morning with prayer, the next step is to learn how to keep that flame of peace burning throughout the day. The world outside is noisy, fast, and full of things that can shake your spirit. One piece of bad news, one harsh word, or a delay in your plans can easily disturb your heart. But when God truly lives within you, no storm can sweep you away. The peace that God gives is not a temporary calm. It is a quiet strength that holds you steady even when everything around you falls apart. It's the deep assurance that, no matter what happens, you are loved, protected, and never alone. When you live with that truth, you carry within you a light that can shine even in the darkest places. Keeping peace does not mean avoiding reality. It means facing it with faith and grace. When someone hurts you, instead of reacting in anger, whisper, "Lord, help me see this person through your eyes." When your work feels overwhelming, instead of complaining, say, "Lord, give me strength to keep my joy." These quiet prayers, simple, heartfelt, and sincere, are the invisible threads that tie your heart to God's endless grace. There will be days when you feel tired, frustrated, or doubtful about your faith. That's okay. No one is strong all the time. But here's the beautiful truth. When you are weak, God draws closer. He doesn't abandon you in your struggles. He stands beside you, ready to lift you up. And if you're reading these words right now, maybe he's using this very moment to remind you, my peace is still waiting for you. When you choose to stay in God's peace, you also become a messenger of that peace to others. A kind word can heal a wounded soul. A genuine smile can brighten a dark day. A small act of compassion can change an entire life. When you live in grace, you reflect that grace, quietly, naturally, beautifully, into the lives around you. If you feel a gentle peace entering your heart while watching this video, take a moment to press the like button, not just to support this channel, but as a small declaration to God. Lord, I choose to keep your peace in my heart today, and if you're going through a difficult time, feel free to leave a comment and share your struggle. We can pray for one another, because here, we're not just viewers, we're brothers and sisters in faith. As the day goes on, there will be moments when you forget that God is with you. That's normal. What matters is that every time you remember, you return to Him, even with just a breath, a whisper, or a glance toward heaven. You remind your soul where peace truly lives. And in that moment, God smiles and says, "You remembered me." Keeping peace is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you succeed, and days when you struggle. But as long as you keep choosing faith, love, and trust, you are walking the right path. And remember this, peace is not the prize waiting at the end of the road. It is the gentle companion walking beside you every step of the way. Worshipping God doesn't only happen in church. It happens in every small thing you do with love. Many people believe that worship happens only when we kneel in prayer, sing hymns, or attend Sunday Mass. But in truth, worship is much broader than that. Everything you do, cooking, working, caring for your family, helping a friend, can become an act of worship if it's done with love and gratitude toward God. Worship is not just about words, it's about the way you live. When you work with honesty, you honor God. When you help others without expecting anything in return, you offer Him a silent prayer. When you stay patient in hardship, you give Him a sacrifice of faith. And when you smile in the midst of difficulty, you reveal the face of God through your own. Every day, God gives you countless opportunities to turn ordinary moments into sacred ones. It might be a word of thanks instead of complaint, an apology instead of silence, a hand offered instead of turning away. Whenever you choose love over selfishness, forgiveness over resentment, kindness over indifference, you are worshipping God in the midst of daily life. Don't think you need to do something grand to please Him. God doesn't look for perfection. He looks for a sincere heart. A simple task done with love is worth more to Him than the greatest display of ritual. There will be days when your routine feels repetitive. Preparing meals, sweeping the floor, answering emails, driving to work. But if you perform these actions with the thought, "Lord, I do this for you," then even the smallest chore becomes a holy act. There's a beautiful saying, if you cannot do great things, do small things with great love. That love is the flame of grace. When you do everything for God, life no longer feels like a burden, but a journey of love. Every action, every word, every thought becomes a note in the symphony of faith that rises toward heaven. Look at the examples of Mary and Saint Joseph. Ordinary people who didn't perform miracles in the eyes of the world, but who lived every moment in quiet devotion. Their simplicity became their greatness. And you too can live that way, humbly, faithfully, allowing every small act to shine with divine meaning. When you work in God's grace, life transforms. The divide between spiritual life and daily life disappears, because God is present in both. A father providing for his family, a mother feeding her child, a worker laboring with integrity, All are worshippers in the truest sense, honoring God through the work of their hands. And when the day comes to an end, you will look back and see not a series of tiring tasks, but a chain of opportunities, moments to love, to give, and to glorify His name. Let your life become a constant prayer. Let every breath, every action, every heartbeat whisper to God, I live to glorify you. Because true worship doesn't depend on where you are. It flows from a heart that loves and gives thanks. And if you live that way, then whether you're in a kitchen, on a crowded street, or at your desk, you're already standing in the temple of God. When you no longer have the strength to walk, let God carry you in His arms. Life isn't always gentle. There are days when every door seems closed, when every prayer feels unanswered. Broken dreams, hidden pain, silent failures, they can weigh down your heart until you begin to question your own faith. Yet it is precisely in those fragile moments that God's grace works most powerfully. God never promised that we would live without suffering. What He did promise was that we would never suffer alone. Perhaps you're in a dark night of the soul right now, when hope feels distant and silence feels endless. But remember this, when you reach the end of your strength, that's where grace begins. When you have nothing left to hold on to, God becomes the place you can fall into. His grace is more than comfort. It is transformation. It doesn't always remove the storm, but it strengthens you to stand in the middle of it. Sometimes God doesn't calm the waves. Instead, He teaches you how to trust Him while you're still in the boat. Sometimes He doesn't open the door right away, because He's shaping your heart to see that even the waiting is part of His divine plan. It's easy to believe in God when everything is going well, but true faith is born in the dark. It's in the tears that you feel His gentle hand wiping them away. It's in the moments of collapse that you realize He's rebuilding something stronger within you. God never wastes pain. Every tear, every disappointment, every failure is a tool in His hands to refine your soul. Look back at the hardest moments of your life. How many times did you think you couldn't go on? Yet you did. That wasn't just your strength. It was His grace carrying you, step by step. Maybe you didn't see it then, but during those silent nights, God was whispering, you still have me. And sometimes, grace doesn't appear as a dramatic miracle. It comes softly, in a friend's kind message, in a verse that touches your heart, in a sunrise that reminds you hope still exists. These small things are not coincidences. They are God's footprints on the path of your pain. When you begin to trust in grace, you no longer see hardship as an enemy, but as a teacher. Through struggle, you learn patience. Through loss, you learn humility. Through brokenness, you learn to rely on God, not on yourself. Grace doesn't shield you from the storm. It teaches you how to walk through it with peace. And someday, you'll look back and realize that the tears that once burned your cheeks were watering the seeds of your faith. The wounds that once hurt the most have become the marks of God's mercy. You'll stop fearing your past, because you'll see that in every valley, He was walking beside you. If today you find yourself in a season of pain, take a deep breath and whisper, Lord, I don't understand, but I trust that you are working. Sometimes that single act of surrender is all it takes to open the door for grace to enter. Believe this, no wound is wasted. No night is endless. The sun will rise again, and God's grace will shine upon your life once more. Because grace is not only forgiveness, it is strength. Strength to start again, to stand again, to hope again. And when you rise after the storm, you will realize that it wasn't you who became stronger. It was His grace that never left you. When night falls, don't just close your day. Close it in the grace of God. As the night gently descends, and the noise of the world begins to fade, your soul longs for a place to rest. Not just your body, but your spirit too. A whole day has passed, filled with joy and fatigue, laughter and disappointment, moments of triumph and moments of weakness. Yet through it all, one truth remains unshaken. God has been with you, step by step, silently watching over your every breath. Night time is not a moment of ending. It's a sacred pause, a time to look back and recognize where God's hand has touched your day. Maybe you stumbled today. Maybe you said words you regret or missed a chance to be kind. But God doesn't see you through the eyes of judgment. He sees you through the eyes of love. The tender love of a father who patiently waits for his child to come home. Before you close your eyes, take a few quiet minutes to talk to him. You don't need perfect words, only an honest heart. Whisper something simple. Lord, I'm tired. I made mistakes today, but thank you for staying with me anyway. In those small, sincere prayers, you will find the peace your heart has been searching for. A peace the world cannot give. A peace that only comes from being still in his presence. Gratitude opens the heart. Surrender brings freedom. Faith is not about understanding everything. It's about trusting that even when you don't, God still holds your life securely in his hands. Leave tomorrow to him. Let go the burdens that whisper in your mind. Before sleep, the regrets, the fears, the what-ifs. You don't need to carry them through the night. Perhaps today didn't go as planned. Perhaps you feel unseen or small in this vast world. But remember this. You are never invisible to God. Every heartbeat, every sigh, every tear is known and cherished by him. When you put your trust in his grace, no moment of your life is wasted. Before you drift into sleep, turn off the noise of your thoughts. Silence the worries that keep circling. Let there be only this soft prayer in your heart. Thank you, Lord, for today. Please give me rest in your loving arms tonight. And when morning comes, you will rise lighter, calmer, and stronger, ready to begin again, wrapped in the grace that carried you through the night. A day that begins in prayer and ends in gratitude is a day lived fully in the love of God. If you are listening to these words right now, maybe it's not by accident. Maybe God is reminding you that he has never left your side. No matter how heavy your heart feels, peace is still within reach, because you are deeply, unconditionally loved. And if this message touched your heart, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, not just to follow another video, but to walk together in faith, to build a quiet corner of light where we can all find hope, strength, and divine grace amid life's noise and uncertainty. Let each night be more than an ending. Let it be a homecoming, a return to peace, a return to trust, a return to the one who has loved you from the very beginning. Because when you end your day in God's arms, there is no sleep more peaceful than that.